video, we will discuss about the steps to integrate Google Sheet API with the Spring Boot project and how can we actually do the CRUD operation using REST API on Google Sheet. So to achieve this, I segregated this problem into 3 sub-problems. The first thing, we have to get the Google Cloud credentials. And the next step is to create a Spring Boot project. And the third step is we can simply just integrate Google Sheet with a Spring Boot project. So let's do the first step. We have to visit this console.cloud.google.com. I already opened this part. And we have to log in with our Gmail account. And then here we have these options: API and services, IAM and admins. So we have to go with this API and services. We have to create a project. Okay, got it. Now the project name is this and location is this. So it could be, we can mention the name, company name over here, and the project name. Project name should be relevant. So Google Sheet. I'm just putting Google API integration with Spring. Simply Google API integrations. And if you are doing individually, if you don't have any organizations, you can simply put no organizations. Now create. It will take some time. Yeah, now it's done. So project is created here. Right. So we have the project is created, Google API integrations, and we have to enable the APIs. Here we have options, you can see, plus enable APIs and services. You can click on this. Here we have all the API listed. Whatever the APIs we have to integrate, we can simply check that API. So here we have to enable this Google Sheet. Right. So now this Google Sheet API is enabled with our project Google API integrations. Now we have to create a credentials. So we have to go with this credentials tab. Here we have option of plus create credentials. We have to create OAuth client ID. Configure concentrate screen. So this project is for external. Right now. So we can simply choose this external. Create. Now app name. So Google Sheet. Yeah, so here we have to put the app name and then supported email ID. These 2 fields are mandatory. Rest we can ignore. Save and continue. Okay, here we have to give the credentials, developer contact. Okay, so we can simply give the same credentials, no problem. We are getting errors, an error. It is an error occurred while saving that. Integrations. Right. Now, we have to mention the scopes as well here. So in this, since we have planned to access the Google Sheet API, just click on this add or remove scopes. I'll explain why scopes are required. Right now, since we are creating a credentials, we can simply add the scopes here. So here we got the list of scopes. Okay, so here we can simply search sheet. So one is spreadsheets and the second one is spreadsheets.read only. So we have to choose the spreadsheets because this will give us all the permissions. Okay. Now update. Test users. Now save and continue. We have to add test user as well. We can add any users. If we wanted to allow them to test APIs, then we have to simply give them access. So here we can simply give the test user. Save and continue. So summary. So the application type is external, app name is Google API Integrations, Beginner.Techies 12@gmail.com. Okay. Scope is Google Sheet API only. Back to dashboard. Now this app is in testing mode. If we wanted to move in production, then we have to publish this app. So right now this is in testing mode, so we have to be with testing mode only. Credentials. Here we can see now we have created application types. So we have to choose this web applications. Okay. Here again we have to give the relevant name, Google API Integration. Right. Here we required add URI as well. It's again depends on the what kind of redirect URI we have. So based on that we have to configure over here. Right now I'm just keeping it as blank. Once we move ahead and once we are going to integrate the APIs, then only based on the requirement we will add the URIs here. Now right, so here we got our client ID and client secret key. Okay. So Google API integration project is created. Okay. And so we required JSON file, actually Google Credential.json file, and we will get once we click on this Google API integrations. So here we have download JSON file. This is the credentials key. We required this, but not now. Once we finish our second phase, once we created this Spring Boot project, and at the time of integration, we required this Credential.json files. So as of now, we can simply leave this part. So this is the way to So we have to save this. Right. So this is the way to create to get the credentials for Google Cloud. Whatever the services we wanted to access, we have to enable those services. Right now we are just specific to Google Cloud. We are just specific to Google Sheet API. So we have chosen only Google Sheet. Google Sheet API. This is enabled. Right. So right now we do not have any data over here. Once we the integration part, then definitely we will get some traffic over here. Right. So this is this is the way to get the Google Cloud credentials. In this video, we have to cover only this part. In the next video, we will see how to create a Spring Boot project, and in the third video, we will see how to integrate the Google Sheet API with with Spring Boot project. Now the second step is to create a Spring Boot project, and we have multiple ways to create a Spring Boot project, but I would prefer to create a Spring Boot project from start.speed.io. So let's first create the Spring Boot. Right here, by default, in start.spring.io we have this. By default, this is my main project. I will prefer Gradle project. Here the version is 2.7.3. This is fine for me, no problem. And I will change this group name. Now it is com.example. I will make it as Beginner-Techies. And the demo is what? Google API. Google API integration with scrolling. Let's make it Google API integration and change this name as Google API integration. This will be the main class of Google of Spring Boot. Okay, and I'm using element JDK elements. I'm checking this 11. And we required one more dependency over here, and that is Spring Wave. So I'm just adding that dependency because I have to write the REST API as well. So this dependency will help us to create RESTful web services. Now for this project, here we have three options. I'll import the project. And the project is in Gradle. Yeah, here, existing Gradle project. Next. Google API. Open. Finish. It's importing now. So import is done, and if you see here we have these classes. The package is google.api, com.beginner-techies.google API, and the class name is Google API Integration Application. Let's run this application. Right. So now we are able to run this application here, and the endpoint and the port is 8080. By default, it will take 8080. We can customize the port as well, but that is a different discussions. But here we will consider this port 8080. And let's check the build.gradle file here. So build.gradle file, here the version is 0.0.1 snapshots. The group is Beginner-Techies, and the version is 2.7.3. Yeah, and we have added this dependency as well. Starter web, everything is in place. Now we have to create one endpoint, right? So we have to create a package here, com.controller, and here I am just adding one class here in the controller, dashboard dashboard controller, right? Dashboard controller, right? So now I just wanted to create one API to test this flow. Like I will just create one testing RESTful endpoint. So since this is a dashboard controller, I will add annotation REST controller. Then only this will behave as a controller. I'm just taking one endpoint over here. Check. Just using that mapping. Endpoint is, and I'm just making the return type is string check return. Checking API. Right. Let's run again these applications. So every time we will learn Spring Boot application from the main class. This is the main class. This is the Google API integration application. Here the main methods. Every time we have to run the Spring Boot project from the main. Here, right click and run this. This is running, right? That's it. Now we can start this. We can test this API from browser local 8080. The endpoint is check. Checking API. Now we got the response here, checking API, right? So this is what we are returning, checking API. In the browser we are getting checking API. So now successfully we are able to integrate the Spring Boot project over here. Now the next thing is we have to integrate the Google Sheet API with this project. Now the third part is to integrate Google Sheet API with the Spring Boot project. For this we have to refer the Google API documentations. We have already developers.google.com over here. I will share the same link in the description box as well. So let's visit this documentation. Right. So here we have this documentations. I'll prefer to integrate this in Java. We have other option as well, like we can integrate with Python, Node.js, JavaScript. So here we have to follow these prerequisites. It should be JDK version should be 1.8 or greater, Gradle 7.0 or greater, and Google Cloud project with the API enabled. So we already created Google API project, right, in the first video. Alright, Google API integration, I guess. Yeah, Google API integrations, right. So this part is already done, and the fourth one is authorization credential for a desktop application to learn how to create. So we already done this part as well in the first video. And the fifth one is Google account. Yes, we have this, right. Now prepare the project. We already prepared the Spring Boot project. This is done. And the second part is Credential.json file. We will get Credentials.json file from the Google API credentials. Here we have this project, Google API integrations. We can simply click on this and get download JSON file. This is actually Credential.json file, and this .json file will contain client ID, client secret. So with the help of Credential.json file, we will be able to access the Google Sheet API. We already enabled the Google Sheet API with these credentials here, right. So Google Sheets API is already enabled. Okay, we done this in the first video. I'll share the link in the description box as well. Now let's move. Here we have this build.gradle file. Generally, as we have created Spring Boot project, so we have build.gradle file as well. We can simply copy these three dependencies because this is required to integrate Google Sheet API. We will integrate these dependencies in our build.gradle. As we had already this project Google API, so I'll put this. I have created one package util, and there one class Google API util. So right, so let's first add the dependencies over here. I'm adding dependencies. Save. We have to refresh the dependencies. Gradle refresh. Right. Now the next part is to get this code. We should not reinvent the wheel. Everything is documented in the Google, in the developers.google.com. You can simply use this documentation. We have to refer this. So I simply copied this complete class name and put it into the Google API util. Here you can see here Google API util. I have added the code base, right? So we have this Credential.json file, and I already downloaded this Credential.json file over here. Already downloaded and added into the project here. Credential.json file. Right. Now let's, since this class is having main method, we can simply run and check whether this is working fine or not. This example is working fine or not. So we can simply right click here and make a Java application and just run it. Oh, so we are getting you can't sign in because Google API integration sent an invalid request. You can try again later. Contact the developer about this issue. Learn more about this error. If you are a developer of Google API integration, see error details. So what is the error here? Error 400 redirect URI mismatch, right? So we have to check. If you are a developer of Google API integration, see, just check this error details. What is? Oh, you can't sign into the app because it doesn't comply with Google OAuth 2.2 policy. If you are the app developer, register the redirect URI in the Google Cloud Console. Request details. Intentionally I missed this part. I was aware, but intentionally I missed this part. Just wanted to show you like what could be the error over here. So we have to integrate this URI. Done. So here we have to integrate. In the credentials, Google API integrations, here authorize redirect URIs. So what should be the URI over here? Control V, just remove this prefix, callback, save. Please try again. Tracking number this sent to the close. Let me try again. Okay, now it's got saved. Let's try again. Yeah, here I'm terminating this application. Okay, finally we got it. Now we can log in. We can use any email. Google API integration has not completed the Google verification process. The app is currently being tested and can be accessed by developer approved testers. If you think you should have access, contact the developer. If you are a developer at Google API integration, see error details. So what we are getting here, 403 access denied. Okay, so we have to add one test user with these credentials. Okay, so I'm adding here Beginner-Techies12@gmail.com. So here we have to add here in the OAuth consent screen. Right. Here we have option test users. Intentionally I missed this part as well in the first video. Just wanted to show you like what could be the issues we can face during the integrations. So here we have to add users. I have added and saved it. Now we can terminate this application and restart again. I have added beginner.techies12@gmail.com. Okay, now Google hasn't verified this app. You have been given access to an app that's currently being tested. You should only continue if you. Okay, continue. Here we have this option, Google API integration will be able to so we have access this. We can continue. Received verification code. You may now close this window. We didn't design any redirect page so that we are getting these information over here, right? So if we have any redirect pages, any front end pages, we can simply redirect on that page itself. Okay, no, right. So here we can see, right, we are able to read the data from the sheets. This is actually a by default sheet. Okay, so with this sheet the data is already added. The data is already added with this sheet. We can check this sheet here. Control C. This is the unique ID. I'm replacing this, right? So we have this sheet view only. This sheet is shared by Google actually for testing purpose. So while using this sheet ID, we are able to get the data from the sheet, right? Here we have these sheets, and based on our logic, we are opening in existing browser session, name, measures, right? We are able to read all the information from this sheet, right? So this is the unique sheet ID. We didn't create any sheet right now. We are just reading one information from this, we are just reading information from the sheet. We can update and create sheet as well, but in this video we have to only target it to get the data from the sheet. In the next video we will do update operation and create operation as well. But here I just wanted to refactor the code. Here this few refactoring is required. Okay, yeah. So I'm just going to dashboard controller. Here I'm just writing one API public. Just copy this. Read data from Google Sheet, right? Get mapping. This is the get API, and get data. Okay, and I'm just getting one service class over here For this we have to create one package. This is the best practice to put everything in the relevant packages. Here we have to create Google API service, Google API service, right? Generate comments. I'm making this I'm using @service annotation. Control-Shift-O will get the import, right? We can auto-wire simply this Google API service, auto-wired. So actually we are injecting Google API service in the controller, right? Private Google API service, Google API service, right. Google API service dot read data from Google Sheet, right? Here the method is created, right? And I'm making this Google API util as a component. Okay. Component, right? And I'm just refactoring this code. You can simply refactor. Sheet. Right. I'm commenting this part. Okay. Now from the dashboard controllers, read data from Google Sheet. From here we can simply auto wire Google API util, Google API util, right? So here we can simply call the Google API util dot get data from sheet. Here we have to add the chain return type. Okay, just one. So here instead of Control Z, right, print. Okay, so we can simply return you can say, let me create one map over here. I'm creating one map here, string string store data from Google Sheet, new hash map. Right. So we'll update this sheet. Row.get0, did the range, just type cost is string, or we can simply make this as an object, right? Let's make it as object. Remove this, right? So from here we can simply return store data from Google Sheet, and we can make it as a map type. So now the return type is map object. In the Google API service, we have to make this as a Control Z, Google API util. Right. In the dashboard controller, here we have to also make this as map object, add through declarations. Right. Now we can run this API, Google API util. Right, so since we removed that main method from the API utils, we will not be able to run again as a Java class. Now we have to run this Spring Boot project, Google API integration application. I'm running this. What is the issue? Consider defining a bean of type com Beginner-Techies util Google API util in your configuration. Okay, we made this as okay. Get credentials. This is the component we have created. Okay, now dash, let's run this application again. Google's API service required a bean of type Beginner-Techies util Google API util that could not be found. This bean is not been found. Okay, we have already. Okay, so this was the mistakes. We have to refactor the package. This should be always in the Google API path. Otherwise, we need to update the. We have to add the @ component scan in the main class. This was the issue. Sorry, we have to refactor this. Google API, Google API dot util. Okay. Right. Let's rerun the application again. Now the application is started. Okay. Now we will hit this API in the dashboard controller. We will hit this API, get data. Okay. We can simply hit this API from the browser itself. Localhost 8080 get data. Right. So here we are able to get the list of data from the Google Sheet. Right. So now we are able to get the data from Google Sheet. In the next video, we will learn how to update and create the sheet. We will cover how to create Google Sheet API. Let's walk through what we have done till now. So here if you see, we have in the last video we created this endpoint get data. With the help of this API, we are able to retrieve the data from the Google Sheet. We have added the code in the Google API utils. Right. Now for creating a Google Sheet, we will create new endpoint here, public. I'm taking a string, return type as a string, create Google Sheet, it, making it as post mapping. Request body. I have already this Google Sheet DTO, so I'll use this DTO as a request. Google Sheet DTO request. Return type is null. So here we have to create one method in Google API service, and the method should be more relevant to the problem. So method is self create sheet, passing this request object. Here we have to put the endpoint name, create sheet. We have to create this method in the API service. Here. And since we have put all the code in the Google API util, so let us create this part as well in the Google API util. Create Google Sheet. The request should be passed as a param here. Create method. Right. So here the method is created. Before going ahead, let's first check this Google Sheet DTO. Right. So here we have these two params. One is sheet name and another is data to be updated. So in this video, we will only cover the creation part. We will not add any, we will not insert any data into the sheet. Right. So before going further, we have to do some refactoring and should make our code more reusable. Here we have the sheet service. This service object we required whenever we are going to do any operation with Google Sheet, we require this service object. So in that case, let me refactor this. You can simply select this and refactor extract method get sheet service. Okay. Right. So we here in case of data retrieving, we are using sheet service. You can use same sheet service here while creating the sheet as well. So we need to approach, right? So to create a Google Sheet, we have object here, spreadsheet properties, spreadsheet properties, spreadsheet is equal to new spreadsheet properties, spreadsheet properties dot set title. You can add based on the requirement we can add properties here. Here I'm just using the title. So what is the title? The sheet name should be the title. Just get sheet. Okay. Now we have to create one sheet as well. Spreadsheet is a different and sheet is a different. If we check in the Google Sheet, if we check in the Google Sheet here, so this is the untitled spreadsheet and this is sheet 1. So this is the complete spreadsheet. Each spreadsheet should have multiple sheet. We can create multiple sheet. So for that purpose, in the code side itself, we have to have this part, sheet service, sheet properties, sheet properties is equal to new sheet properties. Okay, right. The sheet properties again we require to the titles, and the title should be more sheet. Here both the title is same. We can segregate title. So now we have to add properties in the spreadsheet object. Spreadsheet equal to new spreadsheet dot set properties set. Okay, and before setting the spreadsheet properties, we have to create new sheet dot, even we can add set properties set properties dot set sheets. Here we have to add the list of sheets. So since we are only adding one sheet now, so we can simply use collections dot single list and sheet. Now we require this service object, service dot spreadsheet, and this create method. This method will help us to create the sheet, and this is the execute method. This is the execute operation, we can say, to execute this create. Right, so here we have to I just wanted to return spreadsheet URL here. So we'll return spreadsheet URL. We can directly return from the, so this part, right? Right. Okay. So we are done, right? Let's run this application. Okay, we are getting some errors here. Google API service. Okay, we have to add the rows. Okay. Still we have errors. Dashboard controller. Have to do the same thing. Okay, start this application. Right, so the port is 8092. So remember, I have defined the port here 8092. Otherwise, it will be run by default 8080. Okay, right. Let's run the API. Let's hit the API. We have this get data API. Earlier we have already implemented this API in the last video. Let's hit this. Right, so we are getting some exception over here. Let's see what is the exception. Token has expired or revoked. So here the token is expired or revoked. Okay, here we will do a small change. Token directory path. Let's see, this is the token directory path. The token like what we have used in the last session may be expired or revoked from this directory. So I'm just doing a small change here. I'm just storing this part, the system dot get property, and here it should be my system user dot. Let's run again this. Now the application is started. Let's hit the API. Okay, now we are getting response. So these data are coming from the Google Sheet API, which is provided by the Google for testing purpose. Okay, right. So now we will check this API, this create sheet API, because the help of this endpoint, we should be able to get the new sheet. So let's check this part. I'm just copying this endpoint here, then add another one. Will be the endpoint, the method should be post and this should be changed. Sheet create sheet. Now here in the body we will check the raw, and here we will pass the JSON. Right, so what is the input we need to check? So input is Google, in the Google Sheet DTO sheet name. I'm just considering sheet name as an input over here right now. Sheet name. Okay, and here the sheet name is beginner. Okay. We are expecting our sheet should be created with this beginner. Our spreadsheet and sheet name both should be created with this beginner. Let's say internal server error. We are not handling the exceptions in this video, so that's why we are just getting this exceptions, but we will get the we will get the actual cause in the console. What is the issues? So here access token is called insufficient permissions. Request had insufficient scopes permission. So in the Google API util, as we have seen in the last video, we have these scopes, and the scope is spreadsheet underscore read. So if we have this permission, we cannot write or create anything in the sheet. So we have to change this permission. So this is the permission spreadsheets. Okay, let's try with this and see what. Right. Still we are getting exceptions. Okay, 403 error info means we need some more permissions over here, right? So we are actually missing the drive permissions. Whenever we require to create Google Sheet, in that case we require drive permissions as well. So before that we need to check the Google console, like our credentials here. Okay, credentials. We have already given the scopes here. The scope is second. Here, this is the scope part. Google Sheet API, auth drive. See, edit, create, and delete all of your Google Drive files. Whenever we are creating any sheets, this will go to our Google Drive. Okay. So this permission is required. Here we have already added in the scope. If you miss this permission, so make sure this permission is added here in the scopes. So let us update that permission over here. Sheet scopes dot drive. Okay, so here we are getting, because singlet, it's a singleton list, we need to change this arrays dot list, right? Let's restart the sheet. Right, let's hit again. Hmm, we are still getting exceptions. What is the exception now? Insufficient permission. 403 permission denied. Request had insufficient authentication scopes. This this might be because of our token. So we need to check. Uh, for for now, I'm just changing the path of token. Okay, just to make sure we should not use the existing token. So the new token will be generated over here in this path. Right. So let's start the application again. Let's hit the API. Right. Now we are able to get the response here. We got the Google Sheet API response here. This is the URL we are expecting. Then copy and paste into the browser. Right. Beginners. So the sheet is created. The spreadsheet is with beginner and the sheet is beginner itself without any data. So in this video we will insert some records in the Google Sheet. We have already created the endpoint for Google Sheets here in the last video. This is the endpoint we have created, and we have these two requests. The first one is sheet name and the second one is data to be updated, right? So in the previous video we only use this param, and we created a Google Sheet with this name. In this video we also use this param and will insert some records into the sheet, right? So for that we have to do some changes in the code itself. Here we have write the logic for creating Google Sheet. So here we have to add few lines to update the records into the Google Sheet, right? So for that we have to use service dot spreadsheets dot update sheets dot values dot update. Here we have to pass three param. The first param is to, let's see the update method first. Spreadsheet ID, range, and the content. And the content type is in value range. We have to follow this way. Only this way this method will accept. So here we have already spreadsheet object. We have already spreadsheet object. We can get spreadsheet ID, and the range should be. I'm just keeping the range as A1. Okay, in the first row, first column, and here the null is range actually. So before going ahead, let's first create a value range. Value range is equal to new value range dot values. So in the from the request itself we can get the values, get data to be updated, and here it should be right. Say values. Change return type of get data to be updated. Okay, fine. So we have created this return type as a string. We should make it as object, right? So here it should be updated. Right now error has gone. We have to add here value range. Right. Okay. So return. We should change the return type as well here. Get. So, here, so we do not have return type spreadsheet URL. We will return spreadsheet ID. Okay, so even we can change the return type. We should use some response DTO here. That would be better. So I'm creating one response DTO here. Google Sheet response DTO. Let's create class in the DTO package. DTO package finish. Right. So here I'm adding few fields. String, spreadsheet ID, private string, spreadsheet URL, and what else we can spreadsheet ID, spreadsheet URL. Okay, let's use these two values on return instructors. So here from the spreadsheet itself, let's change this as well. Google Sheet response DTO. Response saved. Import this. Import is required. Right, so here we have to create one Google Sheet response DTO object. Google Sheet response. Let's make it as a response. Right. So in the response, I'll set spreadsheet ID, get, and in the response we will see URL as well. Spreadsheet, okay, spreadsheet URL, right. So once this step will execute, removing this spreadsheet ID from here. So we'll return response only. Okay, so here we have the sheet name, beginner 1 2. I'm adding one more, data to be updated. So it should be list of object. Here I the system design. Okay, so this is the list of fine. So here we are passing list of list. Why? Because if you see the value range here, it will always set the values as list of object. Here it is list of object. That is why we are passing list of object. Let's test the API once. Let's run this. Right, send it. We are getting some exceptions. Let's see. Required parameter spreadsheet ID must be specified. So root cause required parameter must be specified. Okay. Null pointed exceptions. Okay. Start update. Okay, so I'm just adding. This will not impact anything, but I know what is the mistake here. This should be updated here, and then dot we need to add one more method over here. This should be raw, and dot execute. We should execute this method. Still we are getting exceptions. Must be specified. Okay, actually missed one part here, and that is okay, service dot spreadsheet dot first it should be create, then execute, and the return type should be spreadsheet. Sorry, created response. Okay, with the help of this created response, get, okay, that is correct, and this should be right. Alright, let's run this application again. Okay. Now we got the response here, spreadsheet ID and spreadsheet URL. Let's check the URL once. But the data is not coming here. Is the issue? Okay. Okay. What is the data to be updated? Seems the key is mismatched. Here the O is in caps letter. You have to make it in small. Okay. Right. Right. Let's try again. Let's disable the Here we got the response. Let's see. Oh, right. Now we are able to. So we are able to insert the records. Thank you for watching. Cover two step. The first step is to give access to the new users, and users should get an email notifications. So whenever we are going to create new Google Sheets, at that time we will allow some new users to access the same sheet. This is what we have to cover in this video, right? And we have already done these implementations, right? Like creation, retrieval of data from the Google Sheet. So to give access to the new user to shoot an email to the new users, in that case we have to cover few steps only. We have already created mm, this endpoint. So here in this request, first we have to add this part, like this request. So list of email address we will give as a input, as a request. So whatever the emails we are mentioned at the time of request, those emails like should get notifications about the newly created Google Sheet, right? And the next thing is here, like since we have to give access to the new users, in that case till now we have only covered the Google Sheet API related functionality. But if we have to if we require to give like access to new users, and if we are allowing new user to get the email notifications, in that case we have to add Google Drive. We have to enable Google Drive as well, right? So Google Drive API and the Google Sheet API, these are two different APIs. Google Drive API is a file store API. It just has control over the file themselves. It can actually edit them. But Google Sheet API gives you access to edit the content of a sheet, right? So for this, first of all, we have to add one dependency over here, as we have already added these dependencies for from the Google Documents. So another dependencies we have to add over here is related to Google Drive, right? So let's go to this Maven repository. Here we require this dependency, and this is actually mentioned in the Google documentations. So we have to add this dependency, right? It's already copied. I'm just adding, sorry. Once this dependency is added, we have to verify two things. After adding these permissions, we have to also verify in the scope as well. Like as we have already created the Google credentials in the first video, right? So here we have to verify the scopes. Without having scopes, we cannot we cannot access the, we cannot even utilize this Google Doc related functionality. So here we have to check the scopes first. Save and continue. So here add or remove scopes. We have already added this one: Google Sheets, Google Sheets API, Auth Drive. Yes. So this is required actually. So we have already added this Google Drive dot file. I think we should add drive dot file. This one. Okay. So this one I'm adding. This is required. Save and continue. Save and continue. Done. So right. So R drive and drive.file. These two scopes are required in this flow. Right. So we have already already added these scopes and their dependencies are already in place. Now we have to do few changes over here in the create Google Sheets API. We have already added this part, right? Like this is a method to create a Google Sheet. Here we will add our steps. Assign permissions and email notifications. So same way as we have this get sheet service, same way we have to get the drive service object, right? So for this I'm just adding the same thing over here. Drive, that is for sheets, and this is for drive. Drive service, right? Drive service. Drive service, new drive filter. Okay, let me refresh the project first because I'm not able to refresh it. Because we have added this dependencies, so we need to refresh the project first. Done. Right. Get sheet service. Okay, the same thing we have to apply for drive as well. Let's change it for drive. Now I'm getting imports here. I'm just changing the name over here, the drive service, and this should be drive service. Sorry, drive service, and this should be drive, right? And this should be drive service. Okay, now same way as we utilize this get sheet service, same way we will utilize this get try service here. Get try service, get try service, right? So this is our request here. In the request we will get list of emails, and here we can simply apply email address. We have one permission object over here, permission class. Set type. Let me import first model. What is the type over here? Type is user, and the set role. Set role is writer. These are the permissions. User should have writer role dot set email address. Right. Now drive service permissions have this methods create spreadsheet. We have already object. We need to pass this spreadsheet ID. So this spreadsheet should have these permissions, and we can also send the notification. This should be true, and set email message. So here you can say beginner. We can add any message over here. Drive testing, Google Sheet permission testing, right? Dot execute. We need to add try catch iris, yes. Right, and here I'm just adding one null checkout. It should not be empty, otherwise we'll get null pointer exceptions. Not right. I think we can now test the functionality. Let's open the Postman. We have already this 8092 create sheets. We run the application first. Google API integration applications. The application is started. Now I just need to gather first So here we have these two bodies. I'm just adding what is the first name here? Sorry, Google Sheet detail, emails, emails. Okay, I'm just adding Beginner-Techies. Beginner.Techies 1@gmail.com. You can add multiple email address over here with comma separated. Here I'm adding only one email. See this. Is the error here? It's breaking. You are currently running with version 2.0 Epic. You need okay. You need at least version 1.15 of Google Epic Client to run version 2 1.2. Okay, let me check here. 1.2 I'm running. Okay, so the version should be downgrade first. Let me use this another versions. Yes, this. Let's see. Refresh first. It's already refreshed, right? Let me start it. Application is started. Let's run it. Again, we have error. Required field must be specified. Somewhere something is getting failed. Okay. Google API Java 145 drive. Okay. I have added permissions already. Let's debug this once. Permission here. Okay. Get drive service. What is that? The drive service. Okay. Hmm. Let's debug this first. This part is already done, I believe. Right? We got this drive service. Okay. Here the permission object is okay. User time. Required parameter file ID must be specified. File ID. File ID we have already passed over here. Okay, okay. Create. I think we are doing something wrong over here. Let's do again. Right, so now we are able to get the response here, a spreadsheet ID and a spreadsheet URL. Probably the mistake was here we are using the wrong object. The actual response object is created response. From this we have to get the spreadsheet ID, but we were using spreadsheets. So this was the mistake earlier, right? So now we are able to fix that, and we are getting the response as well. Let's see this. Hmm. Even we can let me check the email first. Okay, here we have some errors. The email is not generating. 403. Okay, so there is some Google API PC error info. Service disabled. Okay, Google Drive has not been used in project. Cool. So the issue is we have to enable this Google Drive API, right? So let us first do this. We need to enable Google Drive API as well. We missed that one, so that is why we are facing this email notification related issues. Google Drive. Where is Drive API? Sheet API, BigQuery, service usage, cloud storage, 100. Yes. Drive. Google. Shoot. Here we have Google Drive API. We need to enable this one. Enable this. Now Google Drive API is also enabled. I believe we will not get any other issues now. Let's see that. Okay, we got the response. Let's check the email. Beginner-Techies. I got this notification. Beginner-Techies shared a spreadsheet. Beginner.Techies 12@gmail.com has invited to edit this following spreadsheets. I'm just opening this. I love system design. So here what we required, we got that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching.